Take that, Pyongyang. Moviegoers packing hundreds of theaters nationwide on Christmas Day to see that controversial film, The Interview. Sony finally releasing that movie after initially pulling the plug over those threats from those hackers.
That's part of it, and the freedom of speech and all the bickering back and forth.
They really wanted to see it, and when I saw it was coming out, I bought a ticket last night, first chance I got, and I want to exercise freedom of speech. I want to come see it.
Adam Housley in Los Angeles with the very latest on this. So, Adam, how's the movie doing at the theaters and online now that it's out?
Well, it's doing pretty well, Eric. It's hard to really gauge whether it did better than it would have if it had come out normally. It was supposed to be in about 3,000 theaters, and of course, the whole Sony hacking scandal happened and it got pulled, and then ended up in a few hundred and available online. Most people, at least from what we can tell, when you check out your online feed, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, or whatever, people saying they want to go see it because they want to be able to make sure that Americans will be able to do and watch what they want to watch, and cannot be told by somebody else what to watch. Big theater chains, of course, declined to run it initially after the Sony hacking scandal because of those threats that you remember that came down. But then because of the whole deal to make it available online, that also hurt some of the bigger theaters from bringing it back. Since the whole criticism, though, for Sony's to pull it, it got that push to put it back on some of the independent houses where, again, 331 at least independent theaters brought that movie in, and that was important, of course, and also the streaming as well. Now, analysts estimate, Eric, that it potentially could bring in as much as $4 million. Now, nowhere near what Unbroken, for example, brings in over this holiday weekend, but still, a decent amount, I guess, when you're considering only 300 some odd theaters and online streaming, Eric.
Yeah, well, I mean, as Variety would say, it's got legs. I mean, this thing can go on and on as long as it stays in the news. The original hacking sparked such headlines, but the offline did have some problems?
Yeah, so there was people already warning this last week that Xbox, Sony PlayStation, YouTube's streaming ability, Google, YouTube and Google report it being their #1 streaming movie yesterday. But a lot of people warned that because it was going to be streamed so much, and there were a lot of people that I know that have never streamed movies before that said, hey, we're going to watch this thing because we want to tell North Korea to get lost. But what it did do is it allows other hackers as well to kind of maybe hang out and look for people that don't have computers that are protected. There were some reports of problems with a couple of different issues. For example, Xbox and PlayStation's online gaming services were down yesterday afternoon. No idea if that was actually the cause or if these were some online, people, again, taking advantage of the situation, Eric. But there were some issues. But what it also is talking about, when you talk to people in the industry, this movie may actually encourage a lot of people to start streaming more. Now, we know streaming services have become popular for TV shows and the such. It's only expanded significantly over the last year. But there's people out there, as I mentioned, who had never streamed a movie before, who streamed a movie to tell, again, Pyongyang to get lost, basically. So interesting to see how this all plays out, Eric. But right now, Sony is thinking, and some of the analysts are estimating, maybe $3 or $4 million they pulled in for this streaming and limited release.
Yeah, and Adam, who'd ever thought that you can strike for freedom by watching The Interview? Adam Housley, thanks so much.
Yeah, well, we're watching James Franco and Seth Rogen
right.
blow up the deer leader's head.
Yeah, like what? Like the Founding Fathers. Thank you, Adam.
Right.
Leah?
All right.